On this show, we cover some sensitive topics.
Though the obituaries may be outlandish, the people are real.
Names have been changed or omitted in order to respect both the deceased and the survived by.
While death is no laughing matter, some petty last words can provide some pretty entertaining comic relief.
Welcome to Obituary. Welcome back to Obituary. I'm Spencer Henry.
And I'm Madison Reyes.
And happy Halloween! This is our Halloween episode.
Happy Halloween, you little spooky girlies.
Yeah, you little jack-o'-lantern.
You little ghouls.
Ghouly girlies.
Ghouly Geoffs.
When you hear this, the day this episode comes out, we will be
on Florida soil.
Oh, baby. So this could be the last one.
This could, you know what? What happens in Florida stays in Florida.
But we won't.
Hopefully not. Yeah.
No, we're so excited for our Tampa show. So excited about that.
So excited. We are fully prepared.
Oh, yeah. We got our costumes delivered today, and I can't wait for you guys to see.
I think it's the most hilarious thing, and I just cannot wait for you guys to see it.
Just makes sense.
Just makes sense is all we'll say. Yep. But get your tickets if you haven't. Oh, wait.
Nope.
We'll already be there.
You're late. Unless you're hearing this and you live in Tampa, get over tonight.
Uh-huh.
You got a couple hours till showtime.
Okay, obituarypodcast.com, okay?
Yeah, there might still be a ticket there.
Maybe. Maybe not, though. Maybe you missed it.
You saddest Halloween of your life.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I've been really getting into the Halloween spirit lately.
Yes.
Okay, I watched Casper last night. Our friend Sabia came over to my house and we watched Casper, and I hadn't seen it in such a long time.
Yes. Like the Christina Ricci
Yeah.
one? Yeah, okay.
And Bill Pullman's the guy. He has great hair in that movie, by the way. I think because I watched it so much when I was little, I know it so well that I never, I see it when I'm scrolling through Halloween movies or whatever, and I never think to watch it, but it was a great one to rewatch.
Okay, I haven't seen it in so long either. But you know which one we did watch that was not family friendly, like a Casper? Not House of a Thousand Corpses. Which one did we watch, the Rob Zombie one?
I don't remember.
You don't remember which one it was? Well, I will tell you. And it wasn't The Devil's Rejects. It was like the sequel to that. 3 from Hell.
3 from Hell, that was it.
That was a good one.
It was wild.
Really wild.
His movies are graphic. But we love gratuitous crime in horror movies. Like, The Terrifier has to be one of my favorite films of all time. Just because he is so sneaky.
So campy. He really is.
Well, speaking of camp, okay. Last weekend, I went to the John Waters exhibit at the Academy Museum. So cool.
I told you I tried to get tickets. I couldn't get tickets.
Well, someone else got me a ticket.
Okay.
And that's all I'll say on that.
But you know what I think I was looking at is they had like a serial mom.
Like a showing?
Yeah, like a showing that I think I was looking at.
Well, it was incredible. They had all of the well, not all of them, but they had a lot of the outfits from a lot of his films. And so I've been on a total rewatch binge of a lot of his movies lately. And
we watched Female Trouble the other night.
We did. And it's just, there's no one like him.
There's not, I know. And you made a good point. You're like, these movies are shocking and they're still shocking today.
Yeah.
You know how I feel about Pink Flamingos. Like, I don't like that movie.
Okay.
It's like too shocking for me. I don't know. I just don't enjoy watching it, but I liked Female Trouble.
Okay.
And obviously all of the other classics.
Yeah.
But yeah, still shocking today.
Well, speaking of shocking, you want to tell them what you stepped on yesterday?
It looked like the plague was at my house or the end days. My neighbor is like an avid gardener and he has all these beautiful native plants. Like he loves gardening, but I think that he put rat poison in his garden and then the mice ate it and ran over to my front yard because there were 5 mice, dead mice in my front yard. At first I was like, is someone coming for me? Like, did somebody drop these here? Because they weren't eaten or anything. But I noticed it because I saw one and I was like, oh my God, there's, a dead mouse. And then I hear under my foot and I stepped on a mouse and completely squished it like a pancake. Intestines were everywhere and I haven't been able to eat solid food since because I am traumatized.
You called me after you saw the first one. You were like, I just saw a dead mouse. You'll never believe it. And then we were on the phone and you're like, there's another one. You're like, wait, there's another one. There's another one. There's another one. And I told you, you should have given them a proper burial, but you threw them in a trash can.
Okay. Absolutely not. I'm not going to give them a proper burial. If they were in fact poisoned, you have to put them in plastic and throw them in the trash because if like another cat came along.
You think they're going to dig that deep?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, the smell of a rotting corpse? Mm-mm. I think they might. I don't want that blood on my hands. I already squished fucking Mickey. And I can't deal, okay? So.
Oh, God. Gross.
I should have brought them over here. You could have buried them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not?
Oh, but wait a second. Let's talk about my ankle.
So Madison was told by our trainer, hey, try and start getting an extra walk-in or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so she called me and she's like, yeah, I got to start getting, I'm going to do another walk or whatever. And I was like, oh, well, I walk hot dog at this time every day. Come join us on our walk because there's really cool Halloween decorations in the neighborhood. You came over, we're walking.
Well, mind you, 2 nights before that, I had called you because I was playing in the backyard with the dogs and I ate shit because I tripped on a tree root. So then I come to your house, we're walking, it's beautiful. We've got the dogs, they're happy. And I step in a pothole and twist my good ankle. Fall to the ground. A car drives by, stops, rolls their window down, and are like, are you okay? Are you okay?
No, he was not. He pulled up in his Tesla, rolled down the window, looked over, and was like, are you okay? And you were like, yeah. And then he just rolled up his window and drove off.
It's better than people laughing and driving away like those kids on a golf cart when,
oh my God.
When I fell in kind of the same area.
Oh, just very close, feet away from your last big fall over there. And then we were going through the rest of the walk, all your falls. I was like, I've never seen someone fall so many times.
Cisco he's like, you're like a cartoon character. Like, I don't know how you fall so much, but I stood up from it. It didn't hurt as bad. You're my witness. I didn't cry. I didn't feel like I was going to pass out. I didn't hear a pop.
No, but I did hear, I'm going to go. You can keep walking.
I was pissed. I was like, this is my good ankle. I was counting on this one, and it just fucked me up.
She gave out.
But yeah, halfway during the walk, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to just walk back home. Like, you can keep going.
It's not so much a surprise when you fall anymore. So I'm always just kind of look over because I'm always waiting for you to make a noise because you always make a crazy noise.
I know.
But this time you didn't make a noise.
It's because I'm working out.
Yeah.
My body's just tougher.
It sure is until it meets a pothole and then it's on the ground like a mouse.
Oh my God. Well, I've got a little sweet news. I found this article and it just brought a smile to my face. It's from npr.org and it is an article about this 104-year-old woman who skydived.
I love that.
Okay, it says a 104-year-old woman has died. Okay, that's sad, but that's not okay. A little more than a week after she potentially broke the world record for the oldest skydiver.
Oh, good for her.
And we'll post her picture. She just looks so sick. She's like holding up her...
Oh, at first I thought you meant sick.
No.
Oh, no. I don't want to see that.
No, she looks awesome. She does not look 104. She looks 204. No.
You're going to hell.
No, she looks like she's like 80. But it says Dorothy Hoffner jumped 13,500 feet from a plane with Skydive Chicago on October 1st. She likely died in her sleep Monday at Brookdale Senior Living, the center said. The associates at Brookdale Lakeview are deeply saddened by the passing of our resident. We are thrilled to see her continue to live with passion and purpose, skydiving earlier this month at 104 and ultimately proving that age is just a number. She will be greatly missed by our entire community. Guinness World Records is still working to confirm if Hofner broke the record for the oldest person to jump from a plane. The current record belongs to Linnea Ingregard Larsson of Sweden, who was 103 when she made a jump in 2022.
Oh, I love that.
Oh, and then it says Hofner made her first jump at the age of 100. So this is not her first time.
Oh,
God.
I respect that so much. And I love
so much.
Like people that really live it up. They're like, well,
yeah,
you know, I've made it this far. I'm going to fucking do everything I wanted to do. That's incredible.
I know. Like you could not pay me enough to jump out of an airplane, like to skydive.
Okay.
But if I'm 100, I don't give a fuck. I'm going.
Oh, she is on that
Put
plane.
me on a bungee, like everything.
Oh.
Okay?
Okay.
Hold me to it when I'm 100.
Okay, we're going to remember this.
I mean, I'm going to have to do shit like that. My ankles aren't going to be working.
Yeah.
I have to just be airborne.
Oh, shit, I love it.
Oh, my God. Love, love, love some cool people.
On some less sweet news, I'll transition this.
Every time I start to like try to do a transition, if it's a good one, you don't like I can tell, which is far and few between, but then most of the time you're just looking at me like,
well, because you're like smiling. You get like a sneaky smile, like
well, because that's like the part of my brain that's like, just try it.
Just try it. It's the same part of your brain that told you to flip off the devil when you were 8 years old. Our sneaky girl. Okay. Well, this first asshole says, am I the asshole for leaving my son's share of my estate to his daughter? My other kids don't think I'm being fair.
Okay.
This is kind of scathing. It says, my spineless son, Richard, 38, has prioritized his wife and stepkids over his own daughter, Haley, 18. It's happened multiple times, and I've decided to disinherit him and rescind his stepkids' college funds. I'm not here for judgment if I should disinherit him or rescinding the college funds, but if it's fair to my other two kids by leaving my granddaughter an equal share of my estate. The way my will is currently written, my estate will be split equally 3 ways. I have set up funds for all of my grandchildren, which I am the sole owner of, and that is all I planned for them to receive, with the exception of family heirlooms. I'm seeing my lawyer Friday to make the change. My other two kids, 41 and 36, say it's not fair to their kids. Everyone agrees that Richard, his wife, and stepkids are disowned and out of the family. Richard is extremely upset, but you reap what you sow. He's certainly not going to leave anything to his daughter Haley now. My other two kids have substantial assets themselves and will be leaving their assets to their children. I don't understand, with this being the case, why Haley should not get her father's portion. They think I should leave his share to all the grandkids equally. I'm not so convinced. Am I the asshole?
Ooh, wait, that's complicated.
So basically, I just want to clarify it really quick.
Okay.
So this person has 3 kids. 2 of them are well off and will have plenty to give their children. And then the third, the son, Richard, has one daughter that he's just not basically ditched and he's doesn't pay attention to her, is with his new wife and stepkids. So the person's like, well, I want to just leave my share directly to her.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that either. I don't think they're the asshole. Why are the other 2 kids so concerned?
So like the inheritance is split 3 ways right now. They think that if you're not going to give it to him, you should split it among all the grandchildren.
But if even if it went to him and something happened to him, it would still go to Haley.
But on top of that, this person who wrote this is saying like, I don't even think he would leave anything to her anyway. So that's like even more reason why to. No, I don't
I think that's fair.
Yeah, it's fair. This next one says, am I the asshole for not giving my engagement ring to my dead fiance's family?
Okay.
My dead fiance's name is John, and I'll start at the beginning about 4 years ago. I was engaged to John after dating for 4 years. When he proposed, the ring he used was 2 sizes too big. We went to the store that he bought it from 2 weeks before proposing, and he had kept the receipt. We got the right size and kept the same style. We did plan to have the wedding after 3 years of planning and saving. 10 months after the proposal, John passed away in a car accident. I used the savings for our wedding to pay for his funeral. The day after the funeral, John's brother came to me asking for the ring. I asked why, and his response was that the ring had been passed down in their family for 5 generations. I told him that's bullshit because I have proof of the ring that it was bought for me less than a year ago. We argued for a bit, and then he stormed out. Then I get calls from John's family saying I'm a liar and demanding the ring. I get a letter from their lawyer. In the letter, they also demanded that I reimburse them for the cost of John's funeral that she paid for.
What?
So I got myself a lawyer, showed the proof about the ring that I paid for the funeral in court, and I won. I thought that the madness was over until John's sister recently messaged me. She and her boyfriend are engaged, but haven't gotten a ring, and she wants John's ring. After I said no, she went crazy and is messaging me nonstop demanding. I have blocked her over and over, but she finds a way around it. I was having brunch with my friend, and my phone was on the table, and a message from the sister popped up, and my friend saw it. My friend knows about everything. Before sister's first message, I explained about her messages, and the friend thinks I'm an asshole and that I should give her the ring.
What?
She told my other friends, and they're all saying the same thing, and now I'm doubting myself. Am I the asshole?
Fucking get new friends.
Get new friends.
The only silver lining of your fiance passing, I'm sorry, is that you are not legally bound to these people.
Oh.
When you first said, oh, it's a family heirloom or whatever, and it's been passed down from generation to generation, that I get. Okay, give it back. That sucks. But, you know, if it belongs to the family, it belongs to the family. But if it was purchased and new, no, you're not the asshole.
Throw your phone away.
I would say I don't have it anymore.
I pawned it.
Or
I used it to pay for the funeral.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And won in court. Fuck that.
What psychos?
Weird.
God, just assholes all around.
Well, I have one more.
Okay.
A little Halloween treat.
Love it.
Because it's fucking wild.
Okay.
It says, am I the asshole for avoiding my parents after discovering they were spreading super inappropriate lies about my husband and I?
No.
Last year, my husband and I met my parents, aunt, and uncle for Thanksgiving. As we were leaving, my aunt, who was visibly upset, pulled me aside and said, I need to talk to you. Can you call me in a few days? I asked if she was okay, and she said, yes, I just need to ask you something, but not now. When I called to ask what was going on, my aunt said, I heard something that seems very out of character for you, and I wanted to see if it's true. Evidently, a few days before Thanksgiving, my parents told her an untrue story about how my current husband and I met. To note, I was separated at the time from my now ex-husband when we met. She explained, according to my parents, I met my husband while online soliciting for a proposed threesome with my ex-husband as a last-ditch effort to salvage my then failing marriage.
What?
However, during the tryst, me and my new husband supposedly realized we had a connection which led us to be together, and I chose to dissolve my previous marriage.
Oh my God.
My parents shared much more gross details, but I'll spare you. I was shocked as none of this is true. We met at work through mutual friends, and our romantic relationship developed slowly over a period of time. I had repeatedly told my parents how we met and even introduced our mutual friends to my parents at our wedding as the ones who got us together. So I FaceTime my parents to ask them why they're lying behind our backs, and they look me dead in the eyes and say, because that's what you told us. Excuse me?
What?
When I refuted this, my dad proceeds to get angry at me, saying I must have amnesia, and my mom stormed off, refusing to discuss the issue. The rest of the call is me sitting in silence while he attempted to gaslight me, and I'm dumbfounded. A few days later, I get a call from my cousin. She explains that my dad had told her husband the same story almost 8 years ago. which they all had believed until now. My cousin apologized for not saying anything sooner, but the story made them so uncomfortable they didn't know what to do.
For 8 years? Oh
my husband and I wrote my parents an email explaining what we had discovered and asked them some simple questions like, why did you make this up? Who else have you told? And we've been emailing back and forth for almost a year and gotten nowhere. Their story keeps changing. The blame keeps shifting. They have continuously tried to diminish the seriousness of the issue, saying, no one thinks less of you because of it. What? It never happened. Period. The only apology we've gotten is, we're sorry for upsetting you.
Oh, I hate that kind of apology.
You mean you're sorry for not lying about your daughter for 10 years? Most recently, we have demanded that we forgive them and move on. Since we haven't forgiven them yet, we're responsible for my mother's crying all the time and breaking the family apart. So am I the asshole for wanting to continue to avoid my parents, even though I'm tearing the family apart?
No, you're not the asshole. It sounds like your parents might be in bed with your ex-husband.
Oh, imagine if you were at Thanksgiving this year and your aunt pulls you aside and is like, hey, I want to talk to you about something. Can you call me? And you call her and she's like, so your parents told me that you met Cisco when you were in a threesome.
Well, just so happens that is how we met.
Listen, we're not shaming it. If that's how they met, that's fine. But it's an inappropriate story to tell.
Would your parents ever repeat something like, my parents would be so ashamed of me that they would be like, what?
It's just insane.
Not that that's anything to be shameful about. Like, honey, go be sex positive.
If you're having threesomes, good for you.
Good for you. But
I don't even want one person in my bed.
That is absolutely wild. Fuck your parents, man.
I read it and I was just like, oh my God.
Little Halloween treat.
Yeah.
Little Thanksgiving treat.
Oh, we're early.
We're early. That's okay. It was a treat nonetheless.
And we're thankful for assholes.
Yes, absolutely. And we're thankful. There's that little part.
There's that sneaky smile.
Sneaky.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, I am up first this week.
Which means
you got a little side bitch for us.
I sure do. And this was from the Evansville Courier and Press from 2008. It says, Los Angeles, Mila Nurmi, whose Vampira TV persona pioneered the spooky yet sexy goth aesthetic, has died. Coroner's officials said she was 85. Nurmi died Thursday afternoon at her Hollywood home, Los Angeles County Coroner's Lieutenant Fred Corll said. The cause of death has not been determined. Nurmi created her Vampira character, reminiscent of Charles Addams' spooky New York cartoons, to host horror movie broadcasts on KABC TV in Los Angeles in 1954. With darkly mascaraed eyes and blood-red lipstick, Nurmi appeared each week in her revealing black dress and slinky fishnets to introduce such films as Revenge of the Zombies and Devil Bat's Daughter. The Vampira show was canceled after about a year, but Nurmi remained a cult figure among B-movie buffs and is thought to have inspired the vampish Morticia Addams on The Addams Family, which premiered about 10 years later. Okay, but this is where it gets juicy, and I think you and I have always been Team Elvira. Well, I've never pitted them against each other.
Okay, I have to pause really quick. I've read the book Vampira, Dark Goddess of Horror. I just pulled it up. It's by W. Scott Poole. And it's so fucking, it's a really, really good book that gives you a really good, like, image of who she was.
Okay.
So
it says, but Nurmi's cultural resonance did not translate into long-term wealth. In 1989, she lost a $10 million lawsuit that contended Cassandra Peterson's late-night horror hostess Elvira. There is no Elvira. There's only a pirated Vampira, she was quoted as saying in an Associated Press story at the time.
Shit.
Cassandra Peterson slavishly copied my product and made a fortune. America has been duped, which I do not agree with. We love both of them.
We love both of them. Vampira was first, but they're different.
They're different, and I feel like there's space for two horror queens.
Well, Vampira, I feel like, was more like beautiful vintage seductress, and Elvira
is fucking funny.
She's more like camp. We've seen her at Knott's Scary Farm.
Okay.
We've seen her do a cover of Iggy Azalea's Fancy. Do you remember?
Yeah. When I was moving, that was like kind of a comfort movie for some reason. Last year, there was 2 movies I watched, and I'm just like, she's so funny. But this is not her obituary. Among Nurmi's scattered...
Yeah, now Vampira's pissed off because she's like, great, she's even hijacked my obituary.
I know. Among Nurmi's scattered film appearances following her TV career was a cameo in Ed Wood's 1959 cult classic, Plan 9 from Outer Space. Remember we talked about Ed Wood? Nurmi was played by Lisa Marie in Ed Wood, Tim Burton's 1994 tribute to the B-movie director. Nurmi was born in Finland on December 11th, 1922, and emigrated with her family to Ohio. Her late teens, she went to New York, where she fell in with a clique of actors and artists and moved with them to Hollywood to seek a film career. She worked as a chorus girl and model before appearing as Vampira. Nurmi supported herself late in her life by selling handmade jewelry. Her friend Heather Sands and her husband Brian Moore met Nurmi in 2005 when they recruited her to serve as Grand Marshal in a procession of hearses. Moore said he plans to transport Nurmi's casket in a vintage 1951 hearse that appeared in a scene of Ed Wood. So that's going to be Vampira's last ride, he said.
Love it. Love a spooky gal for our Halloween episode.
Love a spooky gal. I just had to pick her because you'll see why in my coffin spinner.
Perfect.
Okay. Well, why don't we take a quick little break and then hear what had you spinning?
Perfect. We'll be right back. And we're back.
What had you spinning in your coffin this week, girly?
So this week, I actually got a text from a friend, and she was asking me about log coffins and if we had done an episode covering them ever. And to my surprise, we had not.
We haven't. What's a log coffin?
They're really cool. So log coffins are sometimes, or more often actually, referred to as tree trunk coffins, which are defined as a coffin hollowed out by a single massive log. And they've been used for burials since prehistoric times all over the world.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
Yeah, it's cool because it predates the coffin.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are beautiful because they're literally just picture a big
oak.
tree trunk with a body. I don't know, it's pretty.
Cool.
One interesting thing that I came across during my research was that during the first millennium BC, cremation had become really popular in the Baltic countries and Lithuania, but for some reason they abandoned the practice of cremation for a period of time, especially the wealthy who instead opted to be buried in these log coffins. It was like a status situation.
Yeah.
Following this, into the 1st and 2nd centuries, they began burying their dead like this, non-cremated. And it wasn't really until the 10th and 12th centuries that the cremation started to become popularized again. And I was thinking back, I was trying to remember when I talked about the history of cremation. I'm like, I remember it dated back really far BC, but I couldn't exactly remember when. So it's interesting to see that we have evidence that this was occurring such a long time ago. Once the 1930s rolled around, modern day cremation started taking place. But this isn't an isolated situation. Prior to the use of cremation, many other countries utilized a plethora of different burial methods. As we know from talking about sky burials, mummification from Mariana, water burials, the list is endless. And thank God, because otherwise we'd run out of topics on here.
I know.
Perhaps most interesting was the use of log coffins by Indigenous Australians or Aboriginal people. I was trying to look into the correct phrasing. It seems like most people prefer the term Aboriginal because Indigenous is a little all-encompassing or too general.
Okay.
But they have these really beautiful log coffins, sometimes called memorial poles or lorcan. I hope I didn't butcher that they would use for burials. And so these were carved out of tree trunks, but they weren't as, not basic looking, but it wasn't just here's the tree trunk, we're carving it out and putting a body in like a lot of other people did. They actually carved them. They're very intricate pieces that are hand carved and painted. And you could tell kind of which group they were associated with based on the artwork. And they would also, I thought it was really cool, on these, well, I'll show you them.
Beautiful.
They would paint or carve a little hole towards the top of these memorial poles so that the deceased person's soul had a way of still viewing the physical world.
Okay, so did they stand straight up?
Yeah.
So they would stand the body up.
That's also what's interesting. So according to the National Gallery of Australia, traditionally when a person in Arnhem Land dies, the body is ritually painted with relevant totemic designs, sung over and mourned, and it's then taken to the deceased clan's land and is either buried or placed on a platform in a tree and left to decompose.
Oh.
The bones are recovered later, and this can be months or even years later, and a hollow log ceremony is performed. I'll get to my point in a minute, but a tree trunk naturally hollowed out by termites is then cut down, cleaned in a ceremonial camp, and is painted with the clan's totemic designs. And the bones of the deceased are painted red, and then during special dances, it's placed inside of the log. So it's actually, with these ones specifically, it's just the bones that are going inside.
Got it. I love the thought of painting your bones.
And just like having this beautiful celebration of somebody's life. It's then placed upright and the final songs and dances are performed, and then it's left to the elements and the burial cycle is complete.
Okay.
So what's interesting is that sometimes I guess they would do full body burials in more traditional log coffins, but other times it would, just be like their bones buried in this elaborate memorial pole.
Okay.
The National Gallery of Australia, which is actually what I just showed you a picture of, has an exhibit in their Aboriginal memorial with these poles. However, they maintain that all of the ones that are on display there were created for art purposes, not ones that were ever actually used in burials or to house actual human remains. Like,
so it was it's respectful.
Yeah,
okay.
They acknowledge like what land they're on and everything. Okay. So it seems like they're doing it right. Not everyone did.
Right.
Now in China, they too have their own version of tree trunk burials known as dugout boats. I'm not sure if we've talked about this before, like boat burials. So it's interesting. It's different than burials on boats that we've heard about, or like the fucking Vikings funerals. Yeah. So these were dugout boats made from a tree trunk, and they're carved into kind of like a little wooden canoe. Mm-hmm. They just look like little boat.
They almost look, this is ignorant, but they almost look Egyptian a little bit, like sarcophagus, or like a sarcophagus cut in half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, one of them was actually discovered in 2006. That's believed to date back to the Warring States era, which is 475 to 221 BCE. And in it, they discovered there were copper objects, bronze weapons, pottery, and lacquerwares, seeds, and peach pits that had all been put into this boat for this person's final ride, I guess. A similar discovery was made in Norfolk, England. I read an article on The Guardian titled Anglo-Saxon Graves and the Tree Trunk Coffins Unearthed in Norfolk. Quote, 6 plank-lined Anglo-Saxon graves, believed to be the oldest of their kind found in Britain, have been discovered on a waterlogged site in a river valley, alongside 81 coffins made from hollowed oak trunks. Archaeologists think the startlingly well-preserved graves were part of the burial ground of an early Christian community dating from between the 7th and 9th centuries.
Wow.
Wild. Tree ring dating is being carried out to establish a more precise age. Finding timber graves, which is also a cool phrase.
That's a cool phrase, but that's also the tree ring, duh. You cut a tree and you can read the tree rings to see how old it is.
Yeah.
So you could look at these coffins and see how long they date back?
I mean, I think that's what they're trying to say, but also if you cut a tree down, it's not growing anymore, so it's not going to...
Right, so it will show at the age...
It'll show how old it was, but it's not going to show...
You know what I mean? Yeah, because it could have been a tree from 1,000 years before.
Yeah.
I get it, okay.
They say finding timber graves of this age is extremely rare due to wood's tendency to leave little more than a decayed smudge in the earth. The River Wensum, which laps the edge of the discovery site and flows through the village of Great Ryburg, has changed course over the last millennium, possibly destroying evidence of Anglo-Saxon homes and farm buildings on the site. Although much of the human remains has been crushed under many hundreds of years of soil, some of the best preserved bones may be able to give a wealth of evidence about who the people were, what they died of, and where they came from. Traces of timber structure thought to have once been a church have also been found, and the graves were dug in an east to west alignment and marked with timber posts. But unlike Roman or prehistoric burials, there were no grave goods with the dead, suggesting that they were Christians. James Fairclough, who led the excavation for the Museum of London's archaeology unit, said the combination of acidic sand and alkaline water created the perfect conditions for the skeletons in wooden graves to survive, revealing remarkable details of Christian Anglo-Saxon practices. There was nothing in the historical record to suggest that a sizable Anglo-Saxon community existed. The medieval church of St. Andrew, with its distinctive round tower, is several hundred meters away in the center of the village. However, as soon as preparatory work began for a fishing lake, a local archaeologist named Matthew Champion spotted Saxton property in the soil, and that's when they called in the archaeologist for a full excavation. I just thought it was really interesting because the discoveries just prove like how cool history is. Like the fact that we have these physical artifacts, or in this case, there's a village nearby and they like found this ancient pottery and they're like, oh, let's call in the archaeologist, and they could go in and find things, these physical artifacts that sort of set a scene of like what was happening during this period. How were people dying from the 7th century is fucking insane.
It is insane, and it is pretty incredible how we as humans just innately want to create a burial for someone. You know what I mean? Like we could just let somebody, but like we have that in us to want to send our loved ones off.
Well, it's a natural tendency, I think. And I think, especially because it dates back to biblical times, like there's, obviously in the Bible, like talks of burial and whatnot. But I think, yeah, even prior to that, we can think of like animals, though, also have that instinct.
Yeah.
Like those mice that were outside your house.
Well,
they never got the opportunity.
Don't come for me for a couple fucking mice, okay? Do you care about the mice more than a cat who could have eaten them and then gotten poisoned?
I didn't say to just discard them. I said to bury them.
But that
6 feet under.
No, some raccoon or cat or possum.
I hope a raccoon would eat it.
I know you hate raccoons.
Anyway, while we're over there, King Arthur, who apparently became king at 15 years old and died sometime between the ages of 35 and 50, which is broad, I know, and who some say never existed.
Okay.
You've heard King Arthur.
Yeah.
Like Knights of the Round Table.
Round Table Pizza.
There's no evidence that he ever actually existed, I guess.
Wow.
He was alleged to be buried in a tree trunk coffin. In the 1190s, Glastonbury monks made it known that they discovered what they believed to be the skeleton of King Arthur in a tree trunk that was buried 16 feet below the ground.
Wow.
According to ancientorigins.net, when researching the reality of giants in the past, one story which has survived ages is the apparent discovery of the Glastonbury giant, which was allegedly unearthed in 1190 on orders of King Henry II, following rumors that the legendary King Arthur was in fact buried at that specific location. Here, between two ancient pyramid-shaped pillars at Glastonbury in Somerset, England, workers dug down, on King Henry II's orders, to a depth of 7 feet where they found a leaden cross with an inscription on it, and the discovery inspired the excavators to dig even deeper in hopes of finding solid proof of this legend's existence, and at 16 feet deep, they struck this large coffin that was hollowed out from a trunk of an old oak tree. Inside, they discovered the skeletal remains of a man who had once measured close to 9 feet tall, laid next to the skeleton of an average-sized woman, assumed at the time to be Arthur's queen, Guinevere.
So they think King Arthur was a giant?
Yeah.
Wow.
As covered in detail in The Myth of Man by J.P. Robinson, skeletons measuring 9 feet tall have been found all over the globe, with many examples having been discovered in the United States in particular, which I had never heard of.
It's so cool to think about what's buried under us.
And scary.
9
feet is wild.
That's very tall.
But again, this is all like, through history. Who knows what the actual truth is?
Yeah.
But I want to end us with my absolute favorite story, which I learned about, which is the Egtved girl. And this is the name given to a set of remains that were discovered in an oak coffin in Egtved, Denmark in 1921. People found this log coffin basically in Denmark, and it was sealed and transported to the National Museum of Denmark in Copenhagen. And when it was opened, they discovered the remains of a girl that was estimated to be between the ages of 16 and 18 when she died, which, by the way, they believe she died during the Nordic Bronze Age, and her burial is estimated to have occurred in 1370 BC.
Wow.
But the inside of the coffin was super well preserved. This is from the National Museum of Denmark's website. They say on her body, she wore a short tunic and a knee-length skirt made of cords.
So this wasn't just bones.
No,
this was a body.
Yeah, she had a belt plate of bronze decorated with spirals that laid on her stomach, and she also had a comb made of horn with her in her grave attached to her belt. Around each arm was a ring of bronze, and she had a slender ring in her ear. By her face lay a small box of bark with a bronze awl and the remains of a hairnet. At the feet of the dead girl was a small bucket of bark that had been placed, which once contained a type of beer. There was also a small bundle of clothing with the cremated bones of a 5 to 6 year old child.
Oh.
A few bones from the same child were found in the bark box.
The bark box.
I know, I laughed when I first read that because it's the dog subscription service. The dead girl saw the light of day again when her grave was excavated in 1921, 3,500 years after she had initially been buried. And so they have like a recreation displayed at the museum there.
Wow.
But yeah, it's pretty incredible. And we don't really hear about them. Like, I didn't find a lot of instances in these in like recent history, but I'm like, that's a really cool way to be buried.
Yeah, absolutely.
Inside like a tree trunk.
I love it.
I love it. I kind of like, I don't know, there's something anthropology about it to me.
Yeah.
Not like anthropology studies, but like the story anthropology.
Those bitches would be buried in the tree. Yeah.
Like, I feel like it's just kind of that woodsy vibe.
Folky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, she's listening to Evermore. Okay.
And drinking it too, honey.
Yeah.
Or Everclear.
Oh no. Don't drink Everclear.
Very cool.
Yep. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll hear what had you spinning in your coffin.
All righty.
We'll be right back. And we're back. What had you spinning in your coffin this week?
Well, approximately 80 episodes ago, which is kind of crazy to say, I dove into witch burials, and I also added some tidbits about vampire burials in there. But as we bid farewell to spooky season, I thought it would be fitting to explore the world of vampire exhumations, vampire autopsies, and possible diseases that could explain the phenomenon. The earliest accounts of vampires trace back to around 1000 AD, but throughout history, there have been numerous instances of vampire panics. These episodes often involved widespread fear and superstition, leading communities to take extreme measures in response to what they believed were real threats from vampires. These individuals that were called vampires are not just figures of folklore, but they often found their way into real medical and scientific discussions. So in the 16 and 1700s, acclaimed scientists would write about vampires, and they would say if you were attacked by a vampire, they explained that the symptoms, some of them included nightmares, shivering, and ultimately death. The term grave eating, which I have never heard before, was coined after alleged vampires were exhumed from their graves. Doctors and scientists of the time noticed that many of the vampires that were exhumed were eating their own clothing and even their own limbs in their coffin. Now we know that probably those poor souls were buried alive and trying to get out or went crazy. But back then, they were vampires. One of the most sensationalized vampire stories dates back to the 1700s and revolves around a European village known as Kiselejevo. In this village, a man named Peter lived and passed away in 1725. He was in his early 60s when he passed away. It was reported that shortly after Peter's funeral, his wife claimed to have received a very eerie visit from him. According to her account, he had risen from his grave, went to their house, and he knocked on their door, and she answered. And then he attempted to strangle her, and then bizarrely, he demanded a pair of shoes. So this is her husband who she just buried.
Okay.
Over the course of the next 8 days, Peter unleashed a reign of terror upon the town, and Peter's been dead and buried. 9 people fell victim to a mysterious illness, all displaying the same symptoms, which proved fatal within 24 hours. Each of these people claimed on their deathbeds that Peter had visited them, laid on them, and attacked them.
What?
So the villagers came to the conclusion that poor Peter, who was dead and buried, was a vampire. Peter's body was exhumed from his grave and given a formal autopsy by an archbishop. And there are documented notes. I found some snippets of them on SmithsonianMag.com, and it says, quote, "He recorded the appearance and smell of the corpse as completely fresh. He also noted the appearance of fresh blood around the mouth, supposedly sucked from the victims. With such evidence before him, he couldn't muster any objection to the villagers' plan of action, repulsive though it seemed. As they drove a sharpened stake through Peter's torso, the archbishop who was doing the autopsy witnessed much blood completely fresh gush from the ears and mouth, further proof of undead status, if any was needed. In his report to the Habsburg authorities, he said all the indications were present that Peter was indeed a vampire. At the same time, he refused to accept any blame if his superiors felt his conclusion was ignorant. He insisted the fault lay entirely with the villagers, who were beside themselves with fear, and he did what he had to calm them down. His reports made sensational newspaper copies, leading to the first printed usage of the local term vampire, which would soon filter into other European languages. So this was a real autopsy where he determined that Peter was an actual vampire.
It's so bizarre.
So bizarre. A few years later, in a different village, there was another bout of unexplained deaths. A man named Arnaud Paul allegedly got bit by a vampire, but he said he was completely fine because he went to the tomb of the vampire who allegedly bit him and used that vampire's blood to cleanse himself. And then he also ate a bunch of dirt. So he was fine. He got bit by a vampire, but he was fine. Unfortunately, soon after, he fell off of a wagon and broke his neck and died. But then 4 people died, and they all expressed, kind of like the Peter story, that before their death, Arnaud came to fuck with them. He was also exhumed and autopsied and found to have been in beautiful shape after months of being in the ground. He even had fresh blood coming from his nose and eyes and ears, and soon after, he had a stake driven through him. So again, another autopsy leading to the conclusion of cause of death is, he was a vampire.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, vampires aren't real, but these stories coincide with the spread of infectious diseases, improper burials, and a time where specific decomposition stages were not well known at all. I've also read that rabies can mimic symptoms that align with vampirism, as well as something called megaloblastic anemia, which can make someone pale and sensitive to the sun. But this one I had never heard of, and I thought it was so interesting. It's a big one that researchers link to vampire scares, and it's called porphyria. Porphyria is a genetic disorder that affects the nervous system, but its symptoms during an attack were pretty painful, and some symptoms can include red or purple urine, which looked like blood, extreme sensitivity to the sun, causing someone with it to avoid the sun and become pale, hemolysis, which can lead to severe anemia, which can sometimes make someone bloodthirsty because they're lacking those nutrients. It also could cause facial disfigurement, and this disorder sometimes made your gums recede back, which made it look like you had fangs.
Whoa.
I also read that sometimes the sulfur in garlic could trigger porphyria, which makes sense because vampires don't fuck with garlic.
Uh-huh.
Isn't that crazy?
Yes.
One other contributing factor to the vampire scares was tuberculosis, or as we know it, Spencer, you explained it to us from reading obituaries, consumption.
Oh, yeah.
And this is really wild because tuberculosis wasn't well known in the beginning, and they called it consumption because it consumed you.
Uh-huh.
But there are some rumors here that I'm going to address with this. It's a pretty famous story. It's another exhumation that comes in, and it's from the late 19th century. And around that time, there was something called the New England Vampire Panic. This took place in Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and all of the New England states. A family from Rhode Island, known as the Browns, all got incredibly sick. So we have Mary Brown, the mother, George Brown, the father, daughter, Mercy, another daughter, Mary Olive, and then a son, Edwin. Mary, the mother, was the first to die of tuberculosis in 1884. Then, about 2 years later, Mary Olive, the oldest daughter, died of tuberculosis. Then in 1891, Mercy and Edwin, the remaining kids, contracted tuberculosis. Mercy ended up dying, but Edwin was still living. This left just George alive without anything. Edwin was basically on his deathbed. Well, this caused the town to talk, and I guess people would stop George when he was out in town and tell him, hey, so you lost your wife and 2 daughters and your son isn't doing so well. We think that it is because one of them is a vampire that is basically coming back from the dead to suck the life out of the living relatives. And then they were like, this is really bad. And if you want to save your son, you should probably do something about it. But this was at a time when people were like, this is consumption. Their bodies are being consumed. They believed this superstition. They believed that this consumption or tuberculosis was caused because someone in the family was a vampire and they were sucking the blood or the life force out of the living. So George didn't believe it at first. But then he had his wife and 2 daughters exhumed. People gathered around, including newspaper reporters and a local doctor, to see what was going on with this vampire family. The local doctor inspected the bodies. So the 2 Marys, the mom and daughter, both had completely decomposed, but Mercy's body was in pristine condition and she had blood in her heart and liver still. So she was obviously the culprit. She was the vampire in the family.
Oh.
No one except the local doctor took into consideration that she had been buried in an above-ground crypt, and it was super cold.
Sorry, this was Mercy?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So she had been buried in an above-ground crypt. She was in very cold weather, and also it had only been 9 weeks since she had passed. So her body, those are like the perfect things to have a body that's not decomposing. Instead of letting her rest, the townspeople demanded that her heart and liver be removed so that they could burn them. They wanted to take her ashes and then liquefy them with water and make Edwin, who was sick, drink them as a cure. And so that's exactly what they did. And then they reburied Mercy. Edwin had to drink her fucking liver and heart ashes. And they were like, that is a cure. But unfortunately, and obviously, that didn't work. And Edwin died about 8 weeks later of tuberculosis.
Just when you think there's a cure.
Just when you think. There are about I think 70 or 80 documented vampire autopsies.
Wow.
That we could do a bunch more parts on this, but I'll just leave it at that for this little spooky season close.
I love it. It is spooky. It's crazy.
It's very spooky. It's cool though to see that there are, these medical reasons why someone had these symptoms that mimic, I guess, what we think of a vampire,
So wild. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that history is fucking nuts. It is insane. All of the things and all of the reasons and all of the just what they even used to do with bodies. It's
wild.
It's wild, and the thought processes behind things, even going back to the log coffins, okay, we're gonna bury you with this and this and this, so that you have this, or we're gonna make sure you have a eye hole into the
right
this realm after you die. It's like,
you see, like stuff like that, some things like that, or superstitions or beliefs are cool. They're not harming anyone. But then there's superstitions like this where it's like, we're going to desecrate this body
and make you drink the flesh.
Exactly.
That is insane.
And unfortunately, but fortunately, there's so much fucked up history. So we got
a lot to cover.
We got a lot to cover still.
All right. Well, let's move on to some obituaries. And I'm going to go first.
Okay.
I have another short one this week, short and shocking. This is from the Lancaster Teller from February 16th, 1905. And it's from Kalamazoo, Michigan, February 15th. In a fit of insanity, Mrs. D. Groves, wife of a mail carrier, cut her left arm off with a hatchet on Tuesday.
Oh my God.
She died a few hours later.
Okay.
There you go. Now I'll hand it off to you.
Hand it off to me. I have an obituary for a woman that I just loved this obituary. I thought it was great. Her name is Antonia, but she's often referred to as Tony. Waffle House lost a loyal customer on April 30th, 2013. Antonia W. Tony died after a battle with multiple illnesses: lupus, rickets, scurvy, kidney disease, and feline leukemia. She's a woman. She's a human. She had previously conquered polio as a child, contributing to her unusually petite ankles and the nickname polio legs given to her by her ex-husband. It should not be difficult to imagine the multiple reasons for their divorce 35 years later. I know. My uncle had polio. 2 children resulted from that marriage, Hayden and Jean. Due to multiple anonymous Mother's Day cards which arrived each May, the children suspect there were other siblings, but that has never been verified. She is survived by the 2 confirmed aforementioned children. Her favorite child, Jean, eloped in college and married Kim, who dearly loved Tony. They gave Tony 3 grandchildren, Jean, Anne, and Hannah. Tony often remarked that her son Jean was just like his father, her ex-husband, Jean Jr., a statement that haunts her son to this day. Hayden married Stephen of Charleston. They reside in St. Louis and carry the LaRoe family torch forward through each and every happy hour, Mardi Gras, and cocktail party. Steve's quiet demeanor has provided ballast to an otherwise unstable family. They have 2 children. Tony had 4 sisters: Patty the elder, Kitty the cook, Lisa the lawyer, and PG. The sisters...
That's it for PG.
Yeah. The sisters dearly loved Tony, spoke often, and as one family photo proved, all preferred Clairol blonde in a box number 47. They inherited their unique sense of humor from their father, Paul P. Marvelous White. He gave nicknames to all the girls such as Tittlemouse, Kitty Cat, Bounder Bounce, Spooker McDougal, and Poodle Pump. Tony previously served on the board of the Hancock County Library Foundation. Ironically, the only correspondence she has received from the library since her resignation has been overdue notices for several overdue books, a true statement. Between ICU, dialysis, and physical therapy, she selfishly refused to make the time to return them. Her last words were, "Tell them the check is in the mail." Tony retired from GE Plastics after Hurricane Katrina in 2007. She would undoubtedly cherish the thought of having the former smoking room named in her honor. Any send-off for Tony would not be complete without mentioning her lifelong buddy Myrtle Jane Wingo Haas and her adopted daughters Liz and Laura. She considered Aaron Burrell to be a distant grandson, not distant enough, and had the ability with family pets to usher them towards heaven at an unrivaled pace. Oh, Jesus. Her favorite activity was sipping hot tea on her back porch with friends, seated around her porch ensemble from Dollar General. Again, not kidding. This will be sold to the highest bidder at her garage estate sale. Any gifts in her honor should be made to the Hancock County Library Foundation, to the Overdue Book Fund. There's visitation information, and then it says it will be led by Reverend Kurt Moore of Orlando, Florida, a questionable choice for any spiritual event, but one the family felt would be appropriate due to the fact that every time Tony heard Kurt preach, she prayed for Jesus to return at that very moment. On a last but serious note, the woman who loved life and taught her her children to laugh at the days to come, is now safely in the arms of Jesus and dancing at the wedding feast of the Lamb. She will be missed as a mother, friend, and grandmother. Anyone wearing black will not be admitted to the memorial. She is not dead. She is alive.
I love it.
I loved that obituary so much. She sounds like such a funny person, and her family seems like they had a good humor.
Yes.
A good sense of humor, whoever wrote that.
I love it. Well, we've spun in our coffins.
We've bitched our obituaries.
That must mean it's time for some dumb
ass criminals.
And I decided to stay on theme with my little tree.
Ooh.
My little tree saga. And I have a story from Queen Elizabeth Gardens in Salisbury, Wiltshire. This took place in 2023, in June of 2023, so just a few months ago, where a man was arrested for trying to have sex with a tree.
Okay.
He was trying to forge his own hole.
Okay.
It says this is from the Daily Mail. It says a man has been arrested for trying to have sex with the tree after shocked sunbathers saw him strip naked before kissing and rubbing the stump. Police were called to the odd encounter in Queen Elizabeth Gardens, where members of the public had been concerned about the man's behavior when he suddenly exposed himself and began rubbing his body against the bark. And there is video footage of this man kicking off his blue shorts and pulling his navy t-shirt before embracing the tree. The man in his 40s was arrested on suspicion of indecent exposure, being released on bail as inquiries are ongoing. And here he is.
Oh my God. Just 2 pieces of wood.
It's a big piece of wood. A passerby said, I started recording because I saw him take his trousers down and thought this is pure gold. He started taking off all of his clothes and kissing the tree. And after I stopped recording, police turned up and started following the man around and then arrested him.
Oh my God.
A little tree fucker.
I mean, you got tree huggers, you got tree fuckers. I don't think it's that bad.
No, I've heard worse.
Just let him.
Yeah.
Let him get his rocks off.
Why not?
Oh my gosh. Okay, I love my dumb criminal today. I was cracking up when I was writing this. So this happened in 2021. A man driving a limo wearing a clown mask drove through security fences at the McCarran International Airport in Las Vegas. 36-year-old Matthew Hancock was noticed after he started doing donuts in the limo at the Jet Suites car park area.
Is that real?
It's real. It was from 2021. He was driving past planes and he made a bomb threat, which alerted police. And when the police arrived, they were able to apprehend Matthew, but they found a device that sort of looked like a makeshift bomb in his car or in his limo, but it was basically a fire extinguisher wrapped in fairy lights.
Love it.
Okay, but so they questioned him. They're like, why are you driving a limo through fences? Why do you have that clown mask on? And Matthew's whole scheme was to steal a plane.
Ooh.
So that he could fly to Area 51 because he desperately wanted to see aliens.
Makes sense to me. Please tell me there's a picture of him.
Yes. There he is.
Love it.
Love him.
Love a silly little clown. He's just a clown.
He's just a little clown.
Oh my God. Well, that's it.
Hey, we got to go get on stage.
Yeah, we hope you all have a bitchin' Halloween and stay tuned for whatever else is coming. If you want to check out all the great stuff we have going on, you can go to obituarypodcast.com. We also have merch.
Merch, baby. Go to wonderyshop.com/obituary. And what else? We've got a lot of fun stuff coming. I don't think we can even talk about.
Yeah, so that's where we'll leave it for the week. We'll see you next week with some more coffin spinners.
Obituaries.
And dumb
ass
criminals.